Some big news just hit a large federal agency. They're going to be sweeping cuts, reorganization. Some divisions could completely vanish. This is all happening in HHS, Health and Human Services. How will this potentially impact you? Let's get into it. In a 6-minute video, RFK Jr. said, "We're going to eliminate an entire alphabet soup of departments and agencies while preserving their core functions." To me, that means everything pretty much from A to Z. So what exactly is on the chopping block? First, we have 10,000 jobs gone. Regional offices gone. Divisions potentially gone. We're looking at a quarter of HHS, 82,000 employees, they're already gone or on their way out. This was done in 3 different ways. You had the VERA, which is the early retirement. You had the buyouts, the VSIP, $25,000. Then you had the deferred resignation. When you add up all 3 ways, you come up with a number over 20,000. So over 20,000 people are going to be gone from HHS. Even though we've been hearing a lot about layoffs, about jobs getting cut, reduction in force, this still came as a huge surprise to a lot of people who work in HHS. You had one health official say, there's very few people who actually know what's happening. Unfortunately, this has been the trend throughout many federal agencies within the federal government. You have pretty much 99% of the pyramid, if you think about the organization like a triangle, like a pyramid, they don't know what's going on. They're left in the dark. This is to include supervisors, even executives, they're left in the dark. Then you have the 1% of the 1%, they're actually having a conference room and they're discussing, they're chopping up the plan, but they don't let anyone else know. Everyone else is kind of in the dark with this. Even congressional representatives, senators were like, what? They didn't hear about this until it hit headlines. That's how they found out. If you know anything about RFK Jr., you know he's not exactly a fan of the health establishment. He's a longtime anti-vaccine activist. He's called HHS a bloated bureaucracy. So why is he anti-vaccine? Well, there's 3 main reasons why. Number 1 is concerns about the vaccine safety, possibly it being linked to autism or other health issues. Number 2 is a distrust of big pharma and government. And number 3 is the COVID-19 vaccine criticism. Now, he wouldn't describe himself as anti-vaccine. He would describe himself as pro-safe vaccine. And he's the top guy in charge of the entire Health and Human Services. The big idea is to refocus the agency. So instead of being focused too much on, let's say, COVID or measles, instead he wants to focus on things like diabetes and heart disease, which is a fair point. It's a big reason why people have premature deaths in this country. About 25% of deaths can be linked to heart disease, and a lot of it also can be linked to diabetes. So what's his plan? How is he going to tackle this? What's the first step? Well, the first step is, let's go ahead and fire 20,000 people. That's the first step. Let's reorganize agencies. Let's see if we can delete entire divisions. That's the first step. RFK Jr.'s team, along with DOGE and the Trump administration, they want a leaner, more focused HHS, and they've been planning some stuff for a while now, in secret or behind the curtain, however you want to think about it. And there's a political edge here. Trump's aides have stated that they see HHS as unwieldy and independent, which is code for not loyal enough. Some even blame career employees within this agency for tanking President Trump's COVID response that cost him the 2020 election. Take that and add it to RFK's history and it adds fuel to the fire. Before he got the job, he tweeted that FDA staffers should pack your bags and threatened to fire 600 National Institute of Health employees on day 1. This guy's not messing around. He's on a mission. But what is the mission? To fix HHS, to make it better, to make the president happy, maybe to get revenge. Well, there's a lot of employees in HHS. They're speaking out anonymously because they don't want to jeopardize what little job security they actually have left. So one person said, I wouldn't trust not one FDA-approved drug after they're done with us. Think about that. Is that employee speaking out of anger, or is there some component of truth to those words? Should you be worried about an FDA-approved product? And then you had another employee say, there's this narrative that cutting jobs saves money or makes things efficient. The reality is the exact opposite. Why is that? Why would it make things less efficient? Is it because slower drug and medical device approvals? Is it because of delayed responses to public health crisis, increased burnout and resignations, or outsourcing services? But not everyone's panicking. Sarah Brenner, the acting FDA commissioner, sent an email saying, "I firmly believe these changes will position the agency for the future." An HHS fact sheet swears that drug reviewers and inspectors, they're not going to be touched by the layoffs, by the firings. So who's right? Is it the employees, or is it the leadership, or is the truth somewhere in the middle? And what does Congress think? What about the people on Capitol Hill? Well, the Republicans, they're divided. A senator from North Carolina said the president wanted a scalpel, not a hatchet. That is what the president said recently. He doesn't want to use a hatchet, but the actions do not exactly line up. Firing 25,000 probationary employees is not the scalpel. I don't think it is. And then having to rehire them. These mass rifts looking to cut tens, if not hundreds of thousands of federal employees, that's not using the scalpel. Another senator was more cautious, saying, "I support cutting waste, but we need to make sure we can still get the job done." Neither of them had the full details of the plan, and this is another sign that this was probably rushed. Now, the Democrats, they're completely in alarm. They want a hearing immediately. Before all of this, HHS had 82,000 people working for it. It's a pretty highly rated agency. They were in the top 3 for best places to work. 1/4 of that workforce gone or going, that's a pretty big cut. And the critics right now, they're worried that RFK Jr. is not just going to cut the fat, he's going to cut trust. And when you're looking at the RIF, the reduction in force hitting the HHS, they're targeting a few different types of employees. Number one is going to be human resources, and then IT specialists, and procurement and finance. A couple of weeks ago, a lot of employees at HHS, they decided to take the VSIP, the incentive payment, the buyout, the $25,000. The agreement was 8 weeks of administrative leave. Once they agree to it, 8 weeks of administrative leave, they get their money and they can go ahead and pivot, do another job, take another career. The issue with that, this happened 2 weeks ago. These people, they're still not on administrative leave. They're still working, and they don't know when, if ever, will they be placed on administrative leave. So they're not going to get the full 8. Maybe they might get 3 or 4. They're going to have to wait and see. But this shows that the agency is not fulfilling its promises to the federal employee. One employee said, "Nobody I know is getting 8 weeks of administrative leave. No one." Now that creates a trust problem within that organization. And if I were a leader in that organization, I would say, hey, go ahead and contact HR. See what HR says. So you contact HR. This is HR's response. "We're not going to be able to answer your questions. We're working until 10 p.m. every night. We're working weekends. Do your own research." So you ask them questions and they're telling you their work schedule. Yeah, it seems like they're overworked. Do your own research is wonderful advice. It's great. Everybody should do it. I highly encourage it. But as the HR specialist in the HR office, only you can tell them their last day. They can't research that. When is their last day? Will they or will they not get the admin leave? That's the big question. You have to answer that. You know who else is a big fan of that approach, of do your own research? Well, you got DHS, Department of Homeland Security. They're under pressure, specifically one sub-agency, which is FEMA. You either love it or hate it. Most people don't like it. It's a 49% approval rate right now. So FEMA is under increasing pressure to completely dissolve. That's what a lot of people would like to see done with it, completely eliminated and going back to the states so the states can manage their own disasters with their own portion of the money. Whether that money comes from the federal government or they have to raise taxes within their state. If you want to know more about FEMA's position, check this video out next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.